Yerushalmי Master Zayin Daf Hey on the Bezdin Nishmat Gidul B'Zvam Mishchaim Yisrael Shekayim Ben Yitzchak Chaneze Bas Gol Für Shleim Rivka Bas Chai Yosef Für Shleim Ayavam Ben Rivka Feg Ben Nishmas Neim Mordechai Ben From Yehuda. Middle of the Amid, Rabbi said, Hey Amid Beis. Let's see, the Rash Tzirila. The Gemara says that the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Mechalin al Ma'aser Alutu Shekes. The Machlokes with B'doisa holds you can Mechal the Ma'aser Sheni on, doesn't have to be a Madbei Shal Tzura, could be even a Simoin. A Simoin is something which is doesn't have a Tzura. And then Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan on top of the Amid says Chalon Ma'aser Alutu Shel Kesef. Alutu Shel Kesef. What is Alutu Shel Kesef? So the Gemara goes through many different ideas. Ilo Mekesef Avina Oimim Kishem Shem Mekesef Kachamazov. You could use also gold, meaning that it doesn't have to be moment, it doesn't have to be money. Ilo Mekesef Avina Marin Lohitzi Shivei Karas V'Tzimbuchuyim. If we wouldn't say Litur Shel Kesef, I would think it comes to exclude broken kalim, broken plates or broken pots. Litur Shel Kesef Ala Simon. Therefore, Rabbi Yossi said it has to be Litur Shel Kesef Ala Simon. Even on a Simon, it doesn't have a Kesef Surah, but it appears to be that it has to be a Madbeya. Hakam Amoidim Shem Mechal and Oisal Mois and as soon as Loelia, but it has to be a Madbeya which is in currency, not Loelia, which is only used for like a ticket. So give it to the ballon in the bathhouse to show that you're a member, something like that, but it's not really currency. Although it has to be something Trumosa, which is a shulchan, a currency trader. That's really money. Malchus, you have sometimes Madbeis that are out of circulation, but still certain Medinas, certain countries are accepting it. Like the Asimoin, which is a form of a currency, which is not Oibel Asoicha, let's say, that's not like everybody accepts it. So Mekablose of Yosef B'Shem Rav Yonason Kasimon, he was Mekablet. B'Chia B'Shem Rav Yonason Madbeya Shel Malachim Arishonim. Previous kings would accept it. Name him Yoytza Agab B'Sirose Mechalav V'Mlav Ein Mechalav. Madbeya Shel Morad, the Madbeya that was now out of circulation because that surah which is on the Madbeya when that kingdom was now not in power. Could Ben Kuzbi Ein Mechalav because he was out of circulation. He wasn't allowed to be in the government anymore. It was nifsal, so it's not a machal. Hoylei moy shel sakona. Sometimes you have these money that the government disallows you from having it. So mele also ubde come imi oma yoylech hanol yam melech. You can't use it because the government's sakona, but still it's considered ma'aser sheni. It doesn't lose the shem ma'aser sheni. Okay, so we saw the Pei Moshe yesterday. Let's take a look here in the Rash Tzirila. Litur shel kesef, kloima, zuzim. This is a form of currency. Kach v'kach. You're going Asara mishkolam, the weight is 10. Litra b'cheshbin, what's a litra? Litra means a shtick from the zilba. It means it's the cheshbin beis hamalchus. Then a cheshbin la simoin ela hatzura. By a simoin, only the cheshbin was the surah, and here it has a weight of the silver. Shum shoma kesef. Even we only say kesef hakosuv tzata kesef yidecho sheit kesef. Who adin? I would think if the Gemara would say that and say that in the Mishnah, I would think who adin is up. Gold is also good. Kamash Malon, it comes to game that it comes now. Rabbi Yosef Shem Rabbi Yochanan, and he's saying that litur shel kesef. Kamash Malon da'alzov she'einoi tuvua. It's not a tuvua. To me, it's not a madbeya. Afa pisha mishkol, even though the weight is shovet, has the same amount of weight of kesef. That amount of gold, which is the same amount of kesef, is ein mechalin. You can't use the gold. Why can't you use the gold? Gold is the chayre better. It's more valuable. Da'afila tavua, even though it looks like a coin. Bukushi hitiru, the have paid have. He says it's not good. It's like paydas. The koshken shein tavua, if it doesn't have a form of a coin, it's not good. Now comes another reason why it says litra shel kesef. If it would say kesef, I would think even shivei kairos was good. Broken pots, broken plates. The bahani moeded abdoisa the shivei kairos ein mechal. Even though abdoisa says you don't have to have a medbeya shel surah, it doesn't have to have a picture on it, but it has to be a medbeya. And something which is broken kelim ein mechal. The ein royu lotze behem kol surah. It's not possible to put a tzura on these things with the broken plates. Ela imkein yitzafu. No, if you have to come and reform it, you melt it down and you put it back, then it's possible. But akaponim, ava moyis nesunas besimin tvei chazi moyis. Money, which is basimoin, they look like coins. Those are preferred. That's what you have to use. Kamash malon litra the kasa. When Rabbi Yochanan says litra, what does litra mean? The muchim va'omet. This is something which is prepared, lotza to make a picture on it. The eina chasa ela tzura. It's only missing a tzura. That's what's allowed. It doesn't have to have a tzura because it doesn't pass like the chacham mitzata kesef yidecha means just, but it has to be. Looks like it has to be a matbeya. Hanasunim b'simil loileya. What about a simoin which is used in the bathhouses? Hainu habalon. Balon is the one who works in the bathhouse. Balon mekabel moyis royis. He takes money, but the money which is bad, meaning it's out of circulation. Miyad hanachnosim, people go in there to use the bath. L'orchis bebeis hamechis. Shemeshamish oises shimish hogan. He used that for certain different type of services. V'ois lehem nachas ruach. This is like a tip that they give to the balon. V'schodon nachas ruach be'alma. When you're giving the tip, it's only a nachas ruach be'alma. So this is also, he's explaining a little bit here. What is a tip? Is a tip a schayvis? It's mama that you in some places where, in other words, the minhag olam is to give a tip. Is that an obligation to give it? Or it looks like here, what he's explaining here, that when you tip the person who's running the bathhouse, it's only nachas ruach be'alma. They tell you, nishkan chiv to give. You don't have to do it, but if you want to do it, you make a nachas ruach. That's a side halacha that comes out of this. The sachron kavua l'tumosenhu. Somebody has an obligation to pay the schar. That goes to the shulchani. V'alaya mechin lehem anointis. What is this Alaya doing? He wears the towels. V'nois lehem moyis b'chusas v'rois b'simon. He gives just these like coins which are not really oivel asaycha. These are bad coins, but that's what you give him for nachas ruach. V'hom moedid abdoisi the geriya me'asimon. So Rabbi said it's very nice. You give it for nachas ruach in the bathhouse, but this is going to Rabbi Yossi. He says that a simon is good for Ma'aser Sheni. Sheyesh lo tzura psula, even though it has a tzura, but what's possible because Ma'aser Royes you give for a balon, even if Dois is masking that that's not going to be sufficient for Ma'aser Sheni. Vice Dois. A tip, but they use these kind of coins that they use to give the tips, and they were Ma'aser Royes. It's not something which is oivel l'soich, and everybody accepts them. So that is not something which is acceptable, even though again it has a value. It's worth money. You put a lot of them together, it has a Shabbos. But what is looks like what the Dois is saying, the Shem Rabbi Yochanan, then it has to be currency. It has to be geschäft, money. It's not money. That it's not something which is used for Ma'aser Sheni. Shehein yofen al Tumasa. Tumasa is the shulchani. He's the money exchanger. So where does the word Tumasa come from? Shetei milas hein tur mosa kamoi ubagia tor. It came the time. Shemasa Shura, V'seder la'anoshim ha'mishalshim v'beis ha'merches. This is like already now the payment that you make, you have to pay to the bathhouse to allow you in there. Hamsham beis ha'merches. V'chol echad avidosei. Everybody has a certain amount of wages that he gets for doing certain types of work in the merchez. So what does he do? Achaz zeh lechama. This one makes it hot. Zeh l'shatav. He's the one that he washes it. And he gives haircuts. This is money. Them geld, the one who comes into the merchez. Even though it's not exactly 100%, it's not over the that from the type of money that Avraham Avinu used, but Ephraim, that madrega doesn't have. But yoytzi idea chag, it is used idea chag. It's not like the ones that you give it to the balon. That's not no good. But the next step up, which is really money for currency, this is good. And the Gemara goes on and it says, "Nifsal b'malchus mekablosen." What happens in Medbeya, which is nifsal, it's no longer in circulation. But there are certain places where they're still makabel, they use it. You're going, Shamelech Tziva, Shalo Yetze, Melech said, don't use this anymore. Ubedei Hamadina makabel Loisa B'Chashoy, they still use it, still hide under the table, they still use this. So Melech, that's good, black market, very good. Kasima, Implica by Tanoi, what's Tasima? With the machlokes of Doisa, all that is good, and the Rabbanim say it's not good. Shamalachim Hashoinim, Umaydi Boy Reb Doisa. Boy says, ask him about it. He says Asimim is good. Now the Gemara says, what means psulais? Psulais means there was a revolution. Kigoyim ben Kuzbiya, Shemorad Acha Chubin. He had a rebellion after the Chubin of the Beis Hamikdash. Al Melech Roimi, on the Roman king, Vagu, and he was murdered. Upasli Madbeya, and he had a Madbeya, and they passed the Chub. They said you can't use it anymore. We're talking now Bizman Hazeh, current times. The Ein Shem Mechitzas V'Kesev Shepoide Boy Mashlech L'Yam HaMelech. So now you have things that you can't use anymore because the government says you're not allowed to use it anymore, and it's not permitted to be used. The Rambam Peikei Loch Gimel Hilkach Kachu Chilul Al Kesev Shel Sakona, something which is not allowed to be used. My Kesev Hayoysev. So the Gemara says, "Ain't a mechalel." So what do you do with it? But even though it has a din of Ma'aser Sheni, if you mechalel that, such a din for Ma'aser Sheni, because the Melech was passing it as sakona for revolutionary purposes, it still has the kedusha of Ma'aser Sheni. So what do you do? Yoyel Chanol Yam Melech Kloimer. Kol HaTasefah Sheshov Ma'aser Sheni Al Shivi Yoyse Kesev. That which you appointed the Ma'aser Sheni on this Kesev. Yoyel Choyse HaKesev Yam Melech. That's the din of something which is also bano, but has kedusha. So you put it into the Yam HaMelech. Two pieces over here. Dr. Aochi Gosinon. Let's go to the top. You know, Kesef. If it would have said Kesef, not literal Kesef, Hashas to the Mefarish Muslim Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara is explaining what Rabbi Yochanan meant. Hodlo Yom Estama Kesef. Why did he have to say literal Kesef? It would say Kesef, I would think that gold is also good. Not only is gold good, but also broken pots and pans. I don't need a madbeya. Kesef is silver, but it doesn't say that it's a madbeya from kesef. The fikach omar litter. That's why it says we're talking about litter. Loimer dafka hoyu umishkola litter. It has to be the weight of a litter, whatever that was. V'gam kesef yoytzit tvei but so mizov v'getoy shel kesef. These were getoy shel kesef. Mean it has to be a beya from kesef. If it's not a madbeya from kesef, it's not something which is right for Ma'aser Sheni, so Mela, even Zov, it's not permitted. V'lo Omer Kesef, Havid Medina Avshibe Karas Dechuin, the broken pots. So V'hav, yeah, Yasim Em Litush Kesef Tchila V'oz Mechal Nolo. You have to make out of it a coin. What about a Simoin? Masnisin he can Omer Ma said that Simon. That was the shit of Reb Doisa. He says you don't have to have a tzura. Tzarta Kesef doesn't mean tzura. I assume it is good. So if you give it the lie of the balonim, no, it's not considered mois yoytze. But tumose kifi shavyon ashikablu hashulchani. In other words, tumose he's saying is not a shulchani, but it's a person who takes the money in the same format like a shulchani. Yichalalem, that could be used for Ma'aser Sheni. Ben Kasiva Shemara the Molosh Teishonim Mechza. His reign was only 2.5 years. When he was a revolutionary, when he was dethroned, so to speak, Hoyul Melech Aidei Merida, his malchus was with a rebellion. His Madbeya is not used. In other words, somebody makes himself a Medina with the Gavalt, and it's not something which is accepted, it's a revolution, is Ein Mechal Lov. You can't use it. It's a Goy Shazachim, the Goy will cover the money, but with this money, that you'd be paid the Ma'aser Sheni, so that I stick it in. So it's nitten the Rishus from the Melucha, from the Melchus. But I say, Loshen Shedot by Kinui is Loshen Shebodu Lem Chachamim. Machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish is Loshen Shebodu Lem Chachamim, or Loshen Shebodu the Goyim. The Goyim made the Loshen for Kinui. Loshen for Kinui is the language which is made by the Goyim. That's a language. If you use that language, you can make Kinui. You can make the Dorim and Dovis being Kabbonis in the Beis Hamikdash. It goes with the Goyim. The Goyim were masakin it. So much so, there's many Mefarshim that say that, according to the Yochanan, he says that Loshen Shebodu Lem Chachamim, that the Kinu is a Loshen for Chachamim, the Loshen Kodesh, that's only Midrabanan, because the Loshen HaGemara is Loshen Shebodu Lem Chachamim. Chachamim made the Sprach. But the lashon from the goyim, I say that lashon from the goyim, that's the Raisa. They make the language. There's ayin l'shonis. Others want to say, but akabanim, we have certain things that the Raisa goes with the goyim. The goyim made the language, so that's what? Kol kinuyim. The rabbis says machlekes. The kinuyim is lashon chacham and lashon goyim. I'm just pointing out the fact that you see the goyim made it here also. This matbeya goes according to the goyim. If they pass it, they pass it. If they say it's good, it's good. So it's going to tell with the government. Sure, let them saying the goyim here. Zog the goyim ilu omar loshin tzichas in bedvaru beyatzma. He's coming to explain your Yochanan. Why do you have to add the word litra? The muchach loime litra shel kesef. You have to use that word. Why? If not, you would say that even though you lie, the baal hamerchetz, he says not the balon, not the worker. He said the baal hamerchetz, the one who owned the bathhouse. Hoye min hogon. It was only a custom. Lita matbeya beyoike. He's saying pung faket. We don't shot until now the Rasher mit the Pnei Moshe. You gave this balon. You gave him something a tip, something which is not expensive. He's learning pung faket. Min hogan litab matbei beyoike to the Baal HaMerchetz, mimash mekabel noisei kolodam, which is something which is valuable. But dafka lechalul kamosh mekabel Baal HaMerchetz, aber kamosh mekabel to musei zu shulchani mechalin. I'm not exactly sure how he's making the nafkamin over here. Why he's saying Malaya is no good. You gave him a coin which is more valuable, but not a pigeon, but chilul. Soon see what the difference is. I'm not sure what was from them going. What is going on over here? This means the Medina passed it. But this particular government is still accepting it. If Yosi, in other words, a district where there's still makabel, certain states, Kasiman, looked at Rabbi Rabbanah, sim is good. Rabbi the sim is good. Doesn't have to have a tzura. Rabbanah say that's to have a tzura. Rabbi Omar, Dina kimat beya shemalachim rishonim. If it was apostled, in other words, certain places they said the main government says no good. In Yosi, it is good. All right, let me send the Rambam a minute here. Chedushim here in the Rambam. So Nachman, the Rambam says in Perek Daled Halacha Gimel, Avodah Ma'aser Sheni, Mevorach al Pidyon Ma'aser Sheni. Makes a bracha on the Ma'aser Sheni. It's a pidyon. You make a bracha. Just like Yishalmi. In Demai. V'imchil on al Peiris Acheres. Now, this is machlokes the Rambam with the Ravid. The Rambam holds that you could be mechalel peiris on peiris. Agamor is going you mechalel on money. What kind of money you need? So the Rambam says im chilulon al peiris acheres. You took other peiris that you have. You instead of taking to Yerushalayim for whatever reason he wants to be exchanged. This is peiris for different peiris. Maybe it's less, it's smaller in size, whatever it is. Or shechilon moyes al peiris. You have peiris. You have money, Ma'aser Sheni, and you want to exchange the money for payers, just the other way around. So Ram holds both places okay. Mevorach al chila Ma'aser Sheni, you make a bracha. It's a mitzvah to do it. All right, what's the mitzvah? Because I guess this is something, he doesn't say that, but the mitzvah would be bring it to Yerushalayim. So somehow he's doing this to bring it to Yerushalayim. Not exactly sure, but that's what he says. But poide oy mechalel Ma'aser Sheni shel demai, einoi tzarech bracha. But Ma'aser Sheni shel demai, you don't need a bracha. So it's difficult. We spoke about this yesterday, but we'll talk about it maybe later in the week about the Torah Yisroim. The Torah Yisroim learns here. He has a pshat. The Torah doesn't mention this now, but he has a pshat different than we learned in Demai. What is Demai? We learn pshat in Demai is because it's a vadai. Why is it a vadai? Chum said that it's a chumrah. Rashi says in Shabbos it's only a chumrah because we hold roiv amod's ma'aser men. And it's not menish achumrah. It's menish achumrah. We have problems in the Rambam. Why does he say? And it's a bracha. If it's only a chumrah, the chayyad after chiyoma bracha. It's not a chumrah be'alma. The Ma'aser Sheni that we say it has din of demai. But if it's something which it needs hafrosha, so why does the Rambam say you don't make a bracha? So he has a different shot how to learn in Gans. He says amita motzi. Okay, I'm not going to get into it now. I just want to go through the Rambam shit here. And interesting that the Rebbe is saying that most of the Mefarshim here are learning like the Rebbe. So we look at the Rebbe though. Oima Avram, Ani Oima, Ani Oima. Rebbe says Ani Oima. Oima Avram, Ani Oima. Like it's like a das yochid. She'im chilul peiris al peiris einu mevorach. Make chilul shaitan the poislet in the Torah Hakadosh says that you mechalul if yochel say so you can't carry the peiris too many peiris. The Eibusher gave you bracha and you have a lot of peiris. You can't schlep it up to the Beis Hamikdash. So what do? You mechalul on kesef and you take the kesef and then you buy the peiris in Yerushalmi, right? And so what does the Rambam say? Peiris al peiris. Not only don't you make a bracha, but to you know how to do it. There's no pigeon. The Torah is not matzah such a pigeon. The im birich, and he makes a bracha, harei zeminayis. Not only that, but it's an aveda. It's something my father used to say over the Rambam Merayim, the Rambam by Bechor. It's like sivda v'raftai. So the Rambam says it's a mitzvah, and the Rebbe schreit out in Chai B'Kai, Chai roishe veri u'biyodri. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be pointed the Bechor. If you didn't do that, so the Torah gives you a knas, but after you have to kill the Bechor. Look, the Rebbe looked at this in averu b'yodri. We looked at this mitzvah. It's not the same word, not the same shafkai, but he's saying im birich harei zeminayis. The Rambam took machta bracha, and then look, the bracha is a minayis. It's not a proper bracha.
Yoim is like yearly. He doesn't have
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, that's what it means. It's like yearly.
Yeah,
I
but
don't have a raya, but pashtus.
That's minayis. He says minayis.
Yeah,
that's pretty sharp. Okay, and he has a strong rice because the rice that the Torah doesn't say that. The Torah says you can't slap it. So what are you doing? Peiris on peiris? Peiris on peiris, you could slap.
Yeah, no, because he takes more expensive.
It doesn't say that. What
else is he doing?
I don't know. Why is he's doing it?
Instead of 5 pounds of cheap berries, he's going to take 1 pound of expensive berries. So that's the carry.
What the Gdav Zug? Yeah, what the Gdav Zug? Okay, Zug the Kesser Mishnah. Try to Zug besteht. Not from Kesser Zug eigene. Ja, Zug the Kesser Mishnah. Kosav arrived. Ani oimesh im chilu peris al peris. Dover poshet hu. The Dover poshet. The Raiva is going to Shitose. She's soive. She ain't peris rishonim shemais rishonim is chalulin ela al kesef. That's it. Fatty. The Raiva holds nothing doing. You only have to do the shaitan the Torah, the pasuk and the chumash. Ma'asher kosa peris shel demai ain't tzarich bracha sham b'mishnah ad demai mafrishin all of Orim. Now this is a pella. He says over here the Rambam. We spoke about it, but just look at a little bit of the Kesef Mishnah now. If it's poide demai, it is demai. It doesn't need a bracha. Why does it need a bracha? What's nish? So he brings an ayah from the Mishnah. What's in the Mishnah? Demai, mafrish noisei orim. Demai, you could be mafrish orim. Orim means without a bracha, because an orim can't make a bracha. Upirish b'shami loime she'ein to a bracha. Nafresh kam bracha. That's why it says the Torah orim. Because it doesn't need a bracha. Now, this is two andere Sachen. Somebody's poid the Meister Sheni. He's poid the Meister Sheni. Oh, he has Meister Sheni, and the Meister Sheni happens to be Demai, and he has to take it now because it's Demai. Oh, but Meister Sheni did this, and he has to take it to Yerushalmi. So the din is that what Mafrishin Oisorim. You make the Afrosha, you can make it Orim. Why? Because Sheni Toyim Bracha, Dafne Shum Kabrocha. Why doesn't Demai need a bracha portion? Because the Demai is the only Chumra Be'alma. The Chumra Be'alma. Mikra Dina, the Demai is already mufresh. Trumas and Mais will take it from it, so you can't make a bracha on it. The Chum said, as Chumra, we know you're gonna that it has Dina from Tevel. But Mikra Dina is not Tevel. It's mufresh. So how can you make a bracha? Can you make a bracha? That's why it says Torah Morim. But here the Rambam is saying, Hapoide oya Machalul Mais Sheni Shel Demai is saying it's a bracha. Punkt verkehrt. Ma'aser Sheni, if you say Ma'aser Sheni is only a chumrah, so it's really Ma'aser Sheni now, right? So if it's Ma'aser Sheni, you want to be poided, so the have to chol ma'brocha, because if the Rambam is going to be maskim to Rashi that the Mai is a chumrah be'alma, and it's really Ma'aser Sheni now, why don't you have to make a bracha? So this is nothing good. Kivegi do of Platz, but masnisin lo yimari rak midin hafrosha. The Mishnah says that din of hafrosha, the Atayim Orim, is only talking about the dinim for Afrosha. meaning when you mafresh it, you could do it Orim. Why? Because it doesn't need a frosher. Teva doesn't need a frosher because you go, it's only a chumah. The chazok is that this doesn't need a frosher. So that's dinim a frosher. Aval medin mufurish b'yishami hu b'rash. The mai mechalon and kesed the mai b'mechet she'en etoim brocha. That's what he means to ask. Zug the Rikukas. Apoy the Ma'aser Sheni Mevorach. A Ma'aser Sheni Dafom Mabrocha. Why? That's the Yishalmi. Pekam the Yishalmi, Om Yishalmi, Beferish Yishalmi, B'ton of Chalafta Ben Shol, B'chalon Demai B'mechet She'en Etoim Brocha. Hovadai is Toim Brocha. The fact that you're doing something now, you're taking a Bechillah, it's a bit of a pella. Not for Yishami, why you make a brocha? You have to take it now to Yishlam. I mean, where's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is going to be when you finish the mitzvah, when you take up the Ma'aser Sheni to Yishlam, you eat in Yishlam. That's the mitzvah. The fact that now you're helping yourself get it to Yishlam because it's too much, and you make the chilul. What does that have a special brocha? And you make the brocha sai of chilul, sai of pigeon. In other words, he says when you paid it, you make a brocha on the pigeon. When you take from the way the Torah says it, Torah says you take from the payers the money. Then you make the bracha on the pigeon. But let's say if you have money, you want to be machal this money on Paris, that's called chilul. They make a different bracha.